And Republicans have passed at least 28 new election laws, and hundreds more have been introduced in state legislatures around the country. The latest battleground over this is in Texas, where Democratic lawmakers left the state in an effort to block a bill that would ban 24-hour polling locations and drive-through voting, prohibit election officials from sending absentee ballot applications to people who haven't requested them, and give partisan poll watchers greater access to polling sites, among other measures. Now they're putting pressure on Congress to pass federal voting legislation in hopes of blocking this. Democratic Texas State Representative James Talarico joins me now for more on this. Congressman, thanks for being here. As Cecilia pointed out, you guys are in D.C. right now. There's enough of you there, which means your Republican colleagues back in Texas don't have enough people there to be able to hold a vote on this election bill. But you can't stay there forever. So what's the plan now that you're there in Washington?
That's exactly right. We left behind our families, our livelihoods. Many of us are risking our day jobs. We're risking our seats in the legislature to come to Washington and demand that our federal counterparts take immediate action to save our democracy. This is bigger than all of us. It's bigger than any single lawmaker. The American experiment is at risk, as President Biden said, and we needed action yesterday. And so I hope Senator Manchin and other federal lawmakers will look at our example as Texas legislators and use every tool in their toolbox to do what is necessary to restore voting rights across the country, not just in Texas, but in every state where our democratic system is under assault.
Now, it's not like federal lawmakers haven't already been working on trying to get this federal legislation passed, but key senators, including Joe Manchin, who you mentioned, has been adamant, one, that voter legislation, election law should be bipartisan in his opinion, and he said he's blanketly opposed to ending the filibuster in order to get this through. I know you're meeting with him. What are you hoping to change there?
They may be working, but they're not working hard enough. And I say that with all due respect, but my constituents in Texas are out of time. Their constitutional rights, their God-given rights at the ballot box are under attack, and they will lose them unless Congress acts now. I know there are lots of deliberations here in our national capital, but in places like Texas, we are living on borrowed time. We are giving our lawmakers here in D.C. extra time with this quorum break, but we can't last forever, and we can't hold out for much longer. So we need action. I frankly don't care how it gets done, but I was elected to serve my community in Texas, and their democratic rights are currently under threat. And so if we don't have action, then they will lose their rights at the ballot box. And so we are here to beg, to implore, to plead with senators, with Congress leaders, and with our president to do something and do something now.
Now, Democrats in Congress there, in the U.S. Congress, as I said, have been working on this. But so far, they don't have enough votes to get these election bills passed the normal way. They don't have enough support to end the filibuster. So do you see a realistic possibility of a policy solution coming soon? Or is this more about rallying around a message at this point?
I'm sorry, Dan, but I have to reject that premise because I'm a Texas Democrat. We're a minority of a minority. We haven't won statewide office in Texas since 1994. We don't hold a majority in the House. We don't hold a majority in the Senate. We don't hold the governor's mansion. And yet we found a way to stop this bill and protect democracy. My Democratic peers here in Washington have a majority in the House, have a majority in the Senate, and have the White House. There are no excuses for not passing this legislation to save our democracy, whether it's the For the People Act or the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Something has to get done, and they are out of excuses.
A majority of one, though, is not enough to get this law passed with a filibuster rule in place. And right now, they do not have the support to undo that filibuster rule. I know that's something that you guys are trying to work on and convince them to go ahead and make a carve-out for that. But right now, the support is not there for now. And so Texas Governor Greg Abbott is now threatening to have you and your colleagues arrested as soon as you return home. There was a vote on that yesterday as well. Now the NAACP is telling our Rachel Scott the organization will cover bail costs for any Texas lawmakers who face arrest. How concerned are you about going back to Texas? What happens when you all leave D.C. and go home?
We're certainly facing personal risk, but that is nothing compared to the risk that our democracy is facing. We just celebrated America's 244th birthday, and all of those years of the American experiment are now at risk if we don't do something to protect voting rights in Texas and across the country. And so I'm not worried about the risk to myself. I have to do what I swore a sacred oath to do, which is uphold the Constitution in Texas and in the United States. And that's what I intend to do. I left the state to serve my constituents, and I'm representing them here in Washington. And I hope that our senators will consider our example when they are looking at their options to save democracy. If it means creating an exemption to the filibuster, that is a small price to pay to ensure that our democratic system will survive for future generations.
It seems those that are opposed to it, though, are worried about setting a precedent here, that if we create a carve-out here, then when Republicans are in the same boat, they'll create a carve-out there and so on. And same with on the local level with you guys walking out, that could set a precedent for other government bodies to start doing the same when they don't like a law. Do you worry about that at all?
I consider that fiddling while Rome burns. I come from a state where our voting rights are under attack right now, and we are at risk of losing our democratic values in Texas. And so whether or not we create an exemption for the filibuster or we adjust the Senate rules, frankly, that doesn't matter to me as much as my constituents in Texas who won't be able to exercise their constitutional rights at the ballot box.
All right, Texas State Representative James Talarico, we appreciate your time today. We know it's a busy day, and we appreciate you coming on to tell your story to us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.